Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Amy. I go by Fiber Arts Amy here and on Instagram. I have a sister channel, Fiber Arts Amy, where it's mostly flosstube and sometimes some other crafts. But I'm coming with you today for some quilting chat. I try to keep my more quilting heavy content over here. I have a lot of viewers who like to see them separated. So anyway, welcome to my quilting channel. Um, Sorry for the little bit of wobbliness. I am actually filming on my bed. So we're on like a soft surface here. So the camera is going to be a little bit wobbly. I apologize. I'm doing the best I can. I have a ton of to show you guys today. For those of you who don't know, I had a partial knee replacement back in December. I'm doing really well. But I'm filming from my bed because I need to keep my leg up. I already had physical therapy today, and so my leg is very tired. My knee's sore and a little swollen, so we're gonna keep it up. Um, so my surgery was about 5 weeks ago now, and I knew this would happen to some extent, that I would just be exhausted after surgery. And boy, was I ever, or am I ever. It's getting better slowly, but my exhaustion level is very high. And I find I just can't get very much done in a day. I certainly can't spend very much time on my feet in any given day. But even when I'm sitting down and it would be great to stitch or sew or whatever, I just don't, I'm exhausted. And so I am getting some stuff done, but the simpler it is, I'm finding the better it is, the easier it is. I've done basically no cross stitch because following a chart is just too exhausting. It's just beyond me. Although I think I'm getting there. I'm actually gonna try to stitch with a friend of mine a little bit later today, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see if I have to rip everything out later or if it's okay. Um, so anyway, but I really wanted to craft. So what I've been doing while I've been recovering is, first of all, going through a lot. My quilty bug's really high, and I've been just going through tons of books and magazines that I own. I have a lot of books and magazines, and just patterns, but mostly books and magazines for quilting. And so I've been spending a lot of time going through those and planning projects and daydreaming about projects and whatnot, and enjoying crafting that way, when I didn't really have the energy to even set up. Um, and then I also have been going back and I have a lot of projects. I have a lot of things kitted up, especially during COVID. Like so many of us, I way over purchased. I have so much stuff from the COVID era, and it's all wonderful stuff. Like I love it all, but I haven't been making good use of it. Like a lot of it's just been sitting there, or I opened things and kind of went through them but never really got started. Um, all of this has been a gradual change in me over the last couple of years, but it's just been kind of ramping up more and more lately. And so during recovery, I really leaned into really hard to going back to enjoying what I have. Going back, digging through things, getting reoriented with them, and making some progress. And one thing I did during recovery was I started focusing on one project at a time. It's not the only project I would work on. What happens is when I'm focusing on a project, then I try to work on it at least a little almost every day. Doesn't have to be more than I feel like doing. And some days it seems like a lot, and some days it's maybe only 10 minutes. Um, but then those projects get done. The first project that I did that I really focused on was actually a knitting project for my husband because I can knit laying down. I can't really sew or stitch laying down so great, but I can knit laying down. I finished a huge shawl kind of blanket wrap for my husband. And then the next thing I'm going to show you. So what I'm going to do today, in case I didn't make this clear, is I'm just going to show you all the things. Not all, I always miss some of them. I'm going to show you most of the things. I just remembered one I forgot to bring over. That's okay, I'll show you next time. or if this video goes a lot faster than I think it will, I'll bring it over. I'll pause and come back. But anyway, I'm going to show you a bunch of the things that I have been working on, that I've been touching. Some things I've touched just a little bit, some I've touched a lot more here in the last 5 weeks or so. But they're all things that are much more on my radar right now. And my intention is to keep going with these. Can't promise what pace I'm going to be going at with them. I'm also working, for those of you who don't know, I hand dye quilting and cross stitch fabric with my company Oak Crown Studios. So I'm also trying to get back into working. There's a lot going on, but I still want to be putting more focus and attention on these projects that I really love, that haven't been getting the attention they deserve and the attention I want to be giving them. So that's what we're doing today. So after I finished my shawl, my husband's shawl, oh, it's just folded up weird. I was like, what's going on? So I turned my attention to, I have things piled up everywhere, so hopefully there won't be an avalanche. So I have this pattern from Violet Craft. So I have several of Violet Craft's patterns. So this is for a 20-inch like pillow or mini quilt. Let me see. This didn't come with a fabric, but what it comes with is all of the pieces. And then I chose my own fabrics. So, and there's a supply list on the back. I feel like I'm trying to look to see if they have like a difficulty level, but I don't think they do. And I'm going to try to link all of these things that I'm talking about below. I do really like, so this was very well done. I own several patterns from Violet Craft. They have some really pretty ones. I don't know if everything they do is EPP, but I own a bunch of EPP stuff because I love English paper piecing. So this had been, I started it a year or more ago, maybe. I have a son who loves chickens and roosters, so I wanted to do it for him. I didn't go, it got stalled out a lot. And the reason I got stalled out a lot is because this is the most difficult English paper piecing I've ever done. If you know me, if you've seen my other quilting channels, either here or I still have a lot of quilting videos. Or sorry, if you've seen my other quilting videos, either here or my earliest quilting videos are all over on just the Fiber Arts Amy YouTube channel. You know, I do a lot of EPP. Don't honestly finish a lot, but I do finish some. This is by far the most complicated and frustrating EPP I've ever done. I still consider it a great EPP experience. I learned a ton from it. I would not necessarily suggest this as your first EPP project as a beginner. And I kind of hate saying this because generally my recommendation to people, when people ask me like, what's a good beginner quilt? My answer is whatever you're going to finish, whatever you're going to enjoy and finish. That's it. If it's something complicated, but it's what makes your heart sing, then you do it. And the same is true here. But if you go into this as a beginner, you need to be prepared. I do think more so, honestly, than like traditional like quilting with a sewing machine, this is going to give you some challenges. And that's because there are so many pieces that are different shapes and sizes and that overlap in different ways. And the thing about EPP is, so let's say you're doing all hexes. Not only do the papers take up space, but the fabric that folds over the edge of the papers also takes up space. If you're doing all hexes, then it's fine because everything is, you're having the equal amounts of space being taken up all over the pattern that is completely symmetrical. This is not symmetrical. So you might have some places, especially like in these tail feathers, but also some up in this face. You might have some places where as paper, things lined up great. But then let's say you have a piece of paper but you've got 3 seams. Like this piece of paper needs to be sewn to 3 other pieces or 4 other pieces of paper. So you've got 3 seams coming out. Those get widened, right? That widens that lower, I don't know if I'm explaining this great, but this paper is going to stay the same size if it's all one piece of paper, but these papers down here are going to get spread out by the space those the fabric takes up being folded in between those. And so you have things not matching up perfectly, and so you still need to try to ease things in. You're more likely to end up with tucks or something not going right. So it was a little frustrating and a little complicated, but after I finished my husband's wrap, I decided to just sit down and tackle it till it was done. I should show you instead of showing you the picture, because I did finish it. Well, I finished the EPP. I now am going to hand quilt it. It's a small piece, a very slow hand quilter, partly because my body can't take much of it at a time, but I love how it turned out. Sorry, there's stuff in the way. Absolutely adore how this turned out. I think he is amazing. And it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. I just grabbed things from my stash for this. Okay, as much of a pain in the butt as that tail was, it is absolutely stunning. I grabbed fabrics from my stash. The rooster is mostly Lori Holt, and then the backgrounds were, I think some of them might be Lori. Actually, I know, like, yeah, this one is like cutoffs from a wide back, a Lori Holt wide back that I used on another quilt. So the hexy part was easy. The tail was the worst. But I'm really proud of myself. I'm super proud of this project. Even though it's pretty small, it'll get turned into a 20-inch pillow for my son. Like I said, I just want to hand quilt the top. I'm just gonna have to like toss stuff around. Very excited about that. So that's still like my top priority project as I am kind of going through things. So that brings me to this. I still have, you guys are gonna have to put up with me like moving my leg around periodically. I can't stay in one position for very long without really stiffening up. Sorry, I'm still wiggling the camera. This is not optimal. So I do not need this anymore. I have a whole bunch more projects from Violet Craft that I'm very excited about, but I am not going to do this again. This is going to be a one and done. I'm glad I did it. It's a great product, but I don't need to do it a second time. That being said, I have all the paper pieces. If one of them actually still has fabric on it, I don't know why I wrapped more hexies than I needed to. If any of you want this, I will give this away for free. I don't know if I'm going to have anyone, let alone more than one person who wants this. But if you comment rooster below, I'll, if I have more than one person, I'll do a random comment picker to give it away. Free of charge. I'll pay shipping. The papers, if you've done EPP before, you know the papers are reusable. And these are like pretty nice, thick papers. They're a little glossy on one side. I'm a glue baster. The glossiness kind of made it a little bit harder for things to stick, I think. But I'm being really nitpicky here. It was a great product. It was a great, fun project to do. Again, I'm very proud of myself. It was challenging, but it was very satisfying. Anyway, so these have already been used. I think there's 2 pieces that have like a slight nick out of them, like at the tip where I lost a tiny piece of the paper when I was pulling it out. There's only 2 of those, I believe. If somebody really wants to dive in and do this, I'm happy to send it out. So yeah, just comment rooster below, and the next time I do a video, you've got at least like 2-3 weeks to comment, to watch this video and comment if you want this, okay? So that is my current priority. And I brought this over here to show you my next Violet Craft project that I'm going to get started on. I was doing some of the just kind of organizing and getting started, and that is this one. It's number 29, the sunflower, and again, I will try to link all of these things below. This is their model. This makes a small quilt. They also showed as a table runner and like as a single pillow. It basically comes with 9 blocks. So I shouldn't have taken it all apart so you could see. Inside this big thing, it came with, I don't think I'm showing anything secret showing this because the pattern are really the pieces. It came with 9 sheets like this that are all perforated with all the it's like the whole block printed on a piece of paper, but it's been scored and perforated. So you just need to tear them apart, which is really easy to do. So I have torn, what I decided to do for this one is I tore my pieces apart. I have Ziplocs that I reuse for projects. These were actually my Ziplocs from the Rooster. Because the Rooster, I had organized my pieces by like color. For this one, I've organized them by shape. So I have, I think there's 5 different shapes that go into this project. So I've got all the pieces torn out. I've got a plain white to use as a background. I have no idea which white this is. I, years ago, used to buy like large cuts of backgrounds and like plain whites and stuff as like in case I needed them for a project. I don't know which one this is. I didn't label them. Like it could be Moda. It's probably a Moda Bella Solid, but it could be something else. And this is the palette of fabric I'm working with. So what I decided is that for these centers, so it looks kind of weird because they're patterned, or it might be hard to tell how they've done this, but that center circle is actually just one fabric. The fabric they use just happens to have a pattern of hexes on it. For my center circles, I'm going to go with this. I'm going with a generally 30s vibe, but these aren't all strictly 30s. They're all kind of, I don't know, I can't hold all these up at once. I felt like they had the same general, that 30s vibe to me. And some of them clearly are 30s. So for I actually did the math. I wrote it down because I don't remember off the top of my head. I know how many of the petals I need to do out of each fabric to have them like evenly distributed. And I have plenty of fabric here. I love this. This isn't a 30s, but it's beautiful. And I feel like has that vibe, that vintage vibe. And I actually bought these. This is kind of going to be like a memory quilts. I bought these on my way down to the first Queen City Stitch Retreat that I did. For those of you who don't know, I host with a friend of mine, Kitschy Whips, Maggie. She goes by Kitschy Whips here and on Instagram. I host the Queen City Stitch Retreat with her in Charlotte. We actually do 2 a year now. Anyway, the first one, I stopped at this quilt shop in Fancy Gap, Virginia, I believe, and bought these fabrics. I knew I wanted to do kind of a memory project. So those are my fabrics. So I've got my background, I've got that big stack for the petals, and then this for my circles. And I'm not sure what layout I'm going to use. I tend to like bigger quilts. But by the time I'm done, I might decide to keep it. What did I say this was? I think 42 by 42. Is that right? I'm not sure. Yeah, 40 by 40. It's 40 by 40. I was close. 40 by 40 for me, yeah, it's just small. I don't know. I'm not having any more babies. I don't have anybody having babies in my life. It'd make a great baby quilt. So I might do a different setting to like with like spacing squares in between or something, just to make it a little bit bigger, a little more usable, like lap size. I don't know yet, but considering how long it takes me to do an EPP project, I've got plenty of time to decide what I'm going to, or how exactly I'm going to finish it. at least part of me, while I drink. Okay, there's been a lot of EPP and a lot of embroidery going on. You guys should see the pile. Like, I'm covered in stuff. I guess the next thing I will show you is my castle wall. So I do get a lot of things from Paper Pieces. I will link them below. You can go into Paper Pieces, it's just paperpieces.com, and you can buy like individual shapes. Like you can buy 1 inch, like a bag of 1 inch hexagons or whatever you want. But then they also put together whole blocks where it comes, you don't have to pull them apart. They're already separated. Sometimes their papers are white and sometimes they're like this tan. They're already separated, but they have all the pieces to make a block. And I like how they can do, sorry, I keep jiggling the camera. I like how they do it because you can usually buy either a single block or like a small pack, which might be, depending on the block, it might be like 2 or 3 or 5 of them. And then you can buy a large pack. So how many was this? 12 blocks, but I think I bought 2 packs of them because I've actually done a couple projects with them. I've shown one in here before. I did a table runner. And I'm not sure how big this quilt is going to end up being. So anyway, I've got a couple packs of these, and I actually also bought, because I think when I put it together, I'm going to want to do all paper piecing to put it together too. So I also bought the right size to do sashing between these blocks. So I've been putting together castle wall blocks. I've got a lot more work to do. I shouldn't say blocks, I should say block. This is the one that I have finished. Sorry, it's wrinkly. For those of you who don't know, when you're doing English paper piecing, you want to keep the papers in your fabric until that fabric has been sewn to something else on all of its sides. So I usually take the papers out as I go, but they're still in just these outer edge pieces that I'll need to eventually stitch to something else. So this one has been done for a while, and I had prepped some other blocks, but I hadn't gotten around to actually sewing them together. So I've gotten my second block started, and oh, they're in my lap. I was like, I lost something. I didn't lose it. So these are my other pieces, and I'll show you the whole palette I'm using in a minute. These are the other pieces to complete this block. And I've got this block, just so you can see the colors, prepped. And I've got, you can see the colors better on the back because of how I clipped them together. I've got this block prepped. This is going to be like embarrassing. So I have, these are actually some very basic, like low volume. Getting a phone call. Oh, sorry, my finger's gonna be in front of the camera. These are some very basic low volumes that I'm using as like the background of the block. And I'm just mixing those up as I go. I can add more in if I find I run low. I don't think I will. I might though. And then what I'm doing for the blocks is I'm using these blue and like tealy aqua solids. I had a fat quarter bundle of these. I honestly don't remember why. I don't know if I bought them for this or if they were already in my stash. But these are some of my favorite colors. And so all of the blocks are going to be like this, with the like low volume or white background and like the blue and tealy aqua solids making up the block. So for each block, I basically use one background. So this is the same as this. And then I choose 3 colors for the triangles, the square, or sorry, the parallel, that's a parallelogram. The diamonds, the squares, and the triangles. And so one of the things I love about EPP, especially when I'm kind of just doing something I'm coming up with on my own instead of working from a pattern necessarily, is making it up as I go. I love with each new block being able to choose my colors, my fabrics. It's fun. I love it. I find it inspiring. I kind of live for that dose of inspiration when I'm sewing. So to keep all this safe, I don't want to lose any. It's in this basket. Sorry if that was too loud. I just kind of dropped it on the floor. What's next? I need to get my leg back up here. Sorry, I'm moving around all weird on you guys. It's just hard to move effectively. So I said I've been spending a lot of time like going through my quilting books and kind of coming up with new projects that I want to do. One of those is from this book, Butternut and Blue. It's Threads of the Civil War by Barbara Brackman and Carla Menaw. That's it. I got this off of eBay, I think, at one point. And so I'm a sucker for a basket block. So this is what pulled me in. Now this book, it has colored pictures of quilts. Look at this one called Midnight Garden. I love applique. It's just so beautiful. But I don't know when the book is from, but it is, it's a more old-fashioned quilting book. It's basically in black and white, where it just has like color pictures at the kind of beginning and end. I'm just looking to see if there's a date on this book. I don't even see like a copyright page. What am I missing here? Ah, maybe 2003. 2003. Anyway, it's mostly just like black and white. There's like one insert page that's got color, and then there's pages that quilt at the front and back. This is the quilts that I want to do. So it's in queue for me to cut. I'm not going to do, my version's not going to be as like dark as this. I tend to like things a little brighter than like these really prim tones that you sometimes see in like Civil War repro kind of stuff. I have a low tolerance for rotary cutting right now. A, it's exhausting, and I don't want to be using a rotary cutter when I'm tired. And B, I'm still dealing with tendonitis in my elbows. Some of you have heard me talk about that before. It's much better, but pushing down really aggravates it. Like even like with a sharp blade and all of that, I can't do too much of it before it can really make my tendonitis flame up. So I'm rotary cutting in moderation at the moment. Excuse me while I get another sip of water. Okay, thank you. But I have picked my fabrics and they are ready when I feel up to starting the cutting. So these are all Lori Holt fabrics from her Americana line. I did not buy the whole line. This fabric is one of my favorites. I love this fabric so much. I actually have a bigger hunk of that because I'll probably use a whole bunch of it. So I bought basically a bunch of the blues from that line, and I've divided them up into darker fabrics and lighter fabrics. There's not a huge difference between them, but there is some. And I'm going to be, I'm looking at my notes, but I'm going to be dividing up where I put the darker and the lighter blues. So for the baskets themselves and for these large pieces, I'm going to be using the lighter blues. And then for the half square triangles that are around these, not the baskets are going to stay that light blue. For these, those are going to be the darker blues. And I should have plenty. And I might end up doing a scrappy binding when I'm done. And then I'm going to use one background instead of doing the scrappy backgrounds they did. This is also a Lori Holt. Though I think this is from her latest Farm Girl. What was the name of her latest? Because it's not, is it Farm Girl Vintage? Her latest line. It probably says right on the stinking bolt. And this bolt is going to be way more than enough. Sometimes when you see a background, nope, Farmer's Daughter, that's what it's called. When I see a fabric I know I love, especially a background, that I'm going to use a lot, I will sometimes buy a bolt. So I think this is going to go well. Even though they're from different collections, Lori Holt stuff tends to mix and match really well. This will be that quilt. And so I'm very excited about that. This is also going to be a little bit easier now that I have that bolt of fabric off of the bed. So I got that queued up to cut. What to do next? Well, let's stay with Americana. So some of you, if you've been here before, you may know that for my 250th, I wanted to do like a 250th quilt. But I didn't want to, I hadn't seen one that appealed to me. What I ended up settling on doing was I'm going to make a quilt, a really simple quilt. I didn't bring the whole block design. I didn't think of doing that, but you'll get the gist. They're going to be really simple blocks with stars in the corner. I'm using one background for all of the blocks and then one fabric for all of the corner pieces that are going to end up making stars between the blocks. And what I'm doing is embroidering in each of those blocks. I'm embroidering either meaningful events from American history that mean a lot to me or to my family, and I'm embroidering in some of them meaningful events in our family's lives. You know, the kids want their birthdays in there. You know, when we got married, maybe, like things like that. Well, and I have a list of some of those events to get me started. I'll add more as I go. And this is meant to be like very, very simple. All I'm doing is handwriting the event on the background. And yeah, I didn't iron these. And these will be cut down. They'll be trimmed down some. And I don't embroider usually in a hoop. There's a few exceptions, but typically I don't. So I'm just doing this in hand with a back stitch. I have just been writing on them with chalk first. And yeah. So I have women winning the right to vote so far and the Gettysburg Address. I've only written a few at a time because the chalk will wear off, so that I don't want to go to the trouble of writing them all, and then by the time I get to embroider them, have the chalk worn off. And then I am working on first Black president elected. So I'm in the middle of that one. This is not, I would love to get it done this year. I don't have to. This might end up being the thing that becomes a priority next when I'm done with the rooster, because it would be kind of cool to get it done in the, I know there's another name that's been used for it, but bicentennial is a word for 250th, like a 250th celebration. So I'm just going to say the bicentennial, because it's the word that I know. There are multiple words that mean that. Anyway, that's a thing that is going to be kind of high on my priority list and has been getting some attention. Cleanup from this video is going to be crazy. Sorry, talking this much is like taking it out of me. All right, I am going to link the I'm gonna link to this pattern below because I don't have a good picture of it here. This is another, I've been doing a lot of embroidery. I've been picking up a lot of my, well, my handwork, my embroidery projects. Crabapple Hill Studio, which I think isn't selling anything anymore. Maybe they're just selling PDFs. I'm not sure. They kind of stopped operating this past year, maybe. But they did a lot of quilts that involved embroidery as well as quilting. One of their quilts was called, oh, is it going to say on here? It might not. The center block says home is where my flock is. So that might be the name of the quilt. Okay, so I love sheep. I'm a knitter. I'm a spinner. I can weave. I love fiber. So, and again, I'm sorry, I don't picture the whole thing. I will link it below. This quilt, so I'm not actually doing the quilt as pictured. It's got a big center block of sheep. Let me see if I can find it. I have all the things printed out. And I don't think there's any way for you to like steal this by me holding it up. It's going to be a little tricky to hold up because it goes over multiple pages. You'll get the idea. All right, so the center block is, sorry for that overlap, like this. A whole bunch of sheep at the bottom. It says home is where my flock is. So there's a large center block. And then there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 12 smaller blocks of sheep all around that. So different scenes of sheep. So there's that. I'm just going to show you a few examples. And the setting, they did theirs in all black and white, or black, white, and gray. You know, cuties. Their quilts, I'm not going, first of all, it's small. It's relatively small. So I'm not going to do the quilt as pictured. I'm making changes to, I actually don't, again, I'm not sure what I'm going to do to put the blocks together, but I'll think of something. But again, I love tealy blues and greens. So I have my own palette that I pulled. In theirs, they use basically just shades of like black, white, and gray, or black and gray for theirs. So I pulled my favorite range of DMC, which is the 500 range. And so that's what I'm going to be using. And I'm kind of making decisions as I go along. I've only barely gotten this started. Again, I traced it with a chalk marker. And I'm just doing backstitch. A lot of theirs, so some of Crabapple Hill is the one that they do a lot of patterns where you use crayon or colored pencil to color in the drawings. I haven't done that yet, although it's on my list of things to do. I have a lot of Crabapple Hill patterns, so again, this is one where it's like, why am I not working on it? Anyway, I'm starting with one I don't have to color, but I'm using the range of DMC I want to use, and then I have tons of fabric in my stash that'll look good with that DMC for however I decide. I mean, I'm going to put it together with some sort of patchwork to form a quilt. I'm just not sure on the details yet of exactly how or exactly what that's going to look like. But that's okay, because it's going to be a while. What's going to happen is I'll be thinking about it while I'm working on it, and by the time I get there, I'll sorry about the wincing. By the time I get there, I'll have an idea what I want to do. So something else I pulled out that I've had for ages and haven't worked on. I bought a couple of these towel kits years ago at a quilt show. I mean, like years ago, like 2015 years ago kind of thing. Anyway, oh, I guess you don't want to read that part. So this is it comes with a rickrack. So it was a little kit that came with the floss and rickrack. floss. And I've gotten started on one of them. I've got a couple of them. I actually don't think I'm going to end up doing the rickrack. That's okay. I'm not much of a rickrack kind of person. The rickrack, you're supposed to just like sew along the bottom. But I think I'm going to like the towel as it is. Anyway, I've traced it on. I traced it with pencil this time. This will be a usable item. And anyway, I've gotten started. Nothing too exciting to see or to look at so far, but I'm excited to have these. And then this one, so that first one is more like for my son. It's got a rooster on it. This one's more for me. We have a purple kitchen too. I love it. I think it's beautiful. This one I might put the rickrack on. I don't know. We'll see. Comes with the floss and the rickrack. And this one has a purple towel. So I haven't started this one yet. I will finish, I think I'll finish the rooster first. It's not hard. It's just back stitching. And some French knots. Which I don't mind French knots. I know some people hate them. Sorry about the crinkling. I'm going to put everything back in here so I don't lose track. Embroidery. Definitely pulled out a lot of my embroidery projects. I have been really enjoying, although I can't claim I'm very far on anything, and I've shown some of these before. Missouri Star Quilt Company has put together a number of embroidery kits. And this one is their Enchanted Christmas. So leading up to Christmas, I actually decided to get out this quilt and get started on it. Now this is as far as I've gone. So it comes with, I'll show you a picture. This kit, first of all, I love the tins. I am a sucker for a good tin. Easy to get me if you package your stuff in a tin. So this is the pattern for the quilt. So this doesn't have any embroidery instructions in it. It just tells you how to put the quilt together, which I might follow their instructions. I might do something a little bit different. Again, I don't know. I'll figure it out when I get to that point. Embroidery has just been easier to do than like cross stitch where I'd have to follow a chart. These little kits are adorable. They come with Presencia Pearl Cotton. Presencia is a brand. In case you don't know, I also love their thread. So there's a bunch of Pearl Cotton colors in here. I love this color. That's part of what I loved about this particular Christmas quilt, is that it didn't just have, this is like some of the embroidery. I love the inclusion of those pops of like aqua and blue. I just thought it really made it. So these tins come with a little thingy like this that has scissors. I'm not sure. I might have put my scissors. Nope, my scissors are right here. Comes with a decent pair of embroidery scissors. Comes with a needle threader, needle minder, which is my robin right there, and 2 different embroidery needles. It has that. It has the quilt pattern. It has this handy thing. This is like your instructions for how to do the different embroidery stitches and what stitches go where in which color. So there's some little cards that just tell you how to do the stitch. And then there's a card for each block that tells you what stitches to put where. And then these are peel and stick embroidery things. So you don't have to trace them unless you want to and reuse them. So this, and I found they don't always stick that great, to be honest, but that's okay. Once you got some embroidery stitches down, it's not going anywhere. That's actually why I did the outline of the glove first, was to keep this like in place. And then they wash away when you're done. So this is my start. And this was, like I said, there were going to be exceptions because of the peel and stick stabilizer. I was finding that, and this one especially it wasn't going to hold up to my handling. I have another one of these that I've started, one of their like wildflower gardens or something that I'm doing in hand with the peel and stick, and it's doing fine. It might have just been this one mitten block piece. It's just really not sticking on very well. So anyway, I made some progress on my mitten. I'm not in any hurry to finish this. It's really when the Christmas vibes hit, I'm doing that. I don't have some ideas, but no decisions yet on what I'll use for sashing. But I'm using this kind of creamy off-white for the blocks. And I've got all the fabric cut for the blocks. Again, these are cut a little bit bigger, so I can trim them down later. What to talk about next? Let's do this. So, again, I have lots of EPP projects. One of them, I'm using these, let me show you what the papers look like. These houses, that's what I usually see them called, as houses, as an EPP shape. And you can put them together to form this plus sign. And so I made a bunch of plus signs. I had some of these made already. These all came from, I had 2 jelly rolls. I had a jelly roll that was these patterned fabrics, these, colored patterned fabrics. Like that. And then I had a jelly roll of this Tula Pink, it's not Fairy Flakes. I don't remember the name of it. It's got that embossed, it's got the bird and like stars and things. It's like the giant Fairy Flakes type print. Those of you who are Tula Pink fans will know exactly what I'm talking about. This is only looking kind of off-white because the papers are tan. It's like a white, or very nearly white. It's one of her basics, I think. So I cut the 2 jelly rolls into the house shapes and making plus signs, and then those plus signs will go together. This is why I pulled it out. I was like, it's been way too long since I was able to work on this. I want to make sure what I'm planning is going to work, and it is. It's going to be fantastic. There will basically be alternating in like a weird way. When I have more blocks sewn together, it'll make more sense. Let me see if I can hold some up and show you. I'm gonna do it wrong. See, kinda how that's gonna go together. Well, I'll be able to like kind of spread out the whites and the color pieces, plus signs, so that they're scattered across the whole of the quilts. And I am very excited about this. I think it's going to look amazing. It's actually going to look way more amazing than I even thought it would when I started it. I have this bag. I love this Winnie the Pooh fabric so much. I actually have a quilt I made out of it. It's one of the very first quilts I made. Anyway, I have all of my pieces for this in here. It's one of those super easy, don't have to think about it, easily tessellating quilts. I've got a bunch of these prepped that I can sew up into plus signs. I've got a bunch of plus signs put together so that if I'm in the mood to sew those, I think I'm going to sew a bunch of these units, and then I can sew these units to each other to make the bigger quilts, if that makes sense. This one is making my brain hurt a little bit more than normal, but that's okay. So kind of whatever I'm in the mood for, I can do. I can glue and prep pieces because I've got just a bunch of those house pieces cut out. I'm kind of ready for anything with this project. And I have it all contained in this little bag with everything I need. So it's something that I can take along with me. Not that I've been leaving the house since my surgery, but, you know, I could throw this in the car and take it with me if we're going somewhere. I'm really okay. The knee just gets stiff and sore, especially when I've had PT that day. I don't like... All right, give me a moment. I'm going to move you a little bit to make room for my leg. Okay, better. Another EPP project I pulled out. Again, I have no particular plans on finishing this anytime soon. Just something I like to bring out sometimes and work on. I have been putting together, not very many so far, but these 6-pointed stars. So I had some repro fabrics. I can show you a rainbow of them. I don't even know how big of a quilt this is going to make, but I'm not going to add to it. This is not a repro, but I don't know. I felt like it fit the vibe. That's also not a repro, but felt like it fit the vibe. These were all left over from other projects. These are some of the first quilting fabrics that I bought like way back in the day, 20 plus years ago. I'm going to be putting all of them together into these 6-pointed stars. So again, this has been kind of where my energy level's been at, right? Not a lot of thinking, just sewing pieces together. And then I'm going to use this as my background, and I'm going to, let's see if I can hold this up and show what it'll look like. I'm going to put the stars together. All right, hold on. This is so bad. Like this. Oh man, I need more hands. With a diamond of this white background color in between. Kind of like that. And then there'll be another star coming up here and more diamonds coming out in between. So it'll just be these repeating star units with whites in between, you know, this off-white print in between. So that's the plan for this. It's easy peasy. I've got 3 done so far. I've got all the pieces cut. And what I pulled fabrics that at the time, and this was years ago, at the time were like scraps. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with these. And so I just cut them into the diamonds. And I was like, however big a quilt this is going to make, that's what I got. That's the quilt I'm going to make. Depending on like what size it makes, I could always add a border later. I don't know. And I've got another one partially sewn together. Nope, this has got to go over here, and this has got to go over here. You probably don't need me to like organize it for you. So anyway, this is like, to me, this is just such relaxing sewing, right? Like when I don't have energy, I don't have to think. It's just basic. It's simple. So when I said earlier, right, that like rooster was maybe like not a beginner EPP project, this is a beginner EPP project. Minimal effort, minimal energy, super easy to do, really satisfying. And then I feel like I'm doing something with my time, like many of you, right? Like I hate just sitting and like not feeling like I'm accomplishing something or doing something with my hands. Excuse me. Okay. I'm definitely, considering how long I'm talking, and I still have a ton of stuff here, I am not going to grab those other projects for this video. I'll wait and save those for a future video. Something that was high on my list to do here this winter was get back to my Pick a Petal block of the month. I'm somewhat, I would say famous, but like nobody actually knows who I am. But if I were known for something, I would be known for signing up for blocks of the month and not doing them, or not, you know, finishing them. That doesn't mean I'm not going to finish them or that I don't want to finish them. I'm just slow. I'm slow and I've got a million projects and my attention just jumps all over the place. And so it takes a long time for me to finish a block of the month. So I'm trying to find the cover picture for the last month. So Jen Kingwell, whose designs I love, I'm not always, her fabric choices aren't always necessarily my vibe. Sometimes they are. But I love her patterns. I've got a ton of them. So this was a Jen Kingwell Pick a Petal block. They were calling it a template of the month program. So it was a 6-month program, makes this quilt here. And I did this through the Red Thread Studio. I will try to remember to link them below. They were wonderful to work with. I was a goober and I messed up my sign up, and she sorted it out. She took care of it. She was very, very helpful when she did not need to be. So huge shout out to Red Thread Studio. A+ dealing with a difficult customer. I was a nice customer, but also like kind of incompetent. It was totally my fault. Anyway, she took care of me. She did a great job. So I'm still on month 1. When this first came, this is what always happens. I was like, this is the one. This is the one I'm going to stay on top of. This is the one I'm going to get done on time. I'm going to stay on schedule. And when it first showed up, this was month 1, is just the center block, which is the largest block in the quilt. I'm going to stay on top of it. So when this showed up, I got to work right away. I cut my pieces for this center block. I knew I wanted to supplement. I wanted to include some of the fabrics that I dye for Oak Crown Studios. So I pulled a few of those to add in. I did do the option where I got the Jen Kingwell fabrics for the quilts, but I knew I would also like supplement some of my own stash. I was on top of it for literally like a day. And then other things got, other things, including work, were shouting louder, and this got put away. So it came back out yesterday. So when this first showed up, I was cooking. I got the center star done. These are 2 of the fabrics that I dyed, this and this. But the rest came in the kit. And so they send fabric every month, and some of it's Jen Kingwell fabric, but they also sent like some Anna Maria Horner fabric, which I loved the inclusion of. Jen Kingwell plus Anna Maria Horner go extraordinarily well together. I'm not sure if they've sent some other things. It's possible some Kaif made it in, but I might be imagining that, especially since I haven't made it all the way through yet. I'm still on month 1. Of course, I always looked at the fabrics. So I got my center star done, and I got one of the fan blades done the first day. Yesterday, I sewed all of these together. And I'm not trying to follow like Jen Kingwell's fabric placement. I'm just like having fun. I'm just picking what I want to pick, trying to make it really colorful. I love the sorts of quilts where like the longer you look at them, the more there is to see. I love that. This is one of my Oak Crown fabrics. So anyway, that's how far I made it yesterday. I need to sew this white curved piece onto here, and then sew the outer edge pieces around these and add them to the star. So that's what's on tap next. I also, and they should be arriving today, yesterday, I hadn't even unpacked a lot of the block of the month stuff. Yesterday I ordered a 1-inch binder and some pages, some the vinyl page protectors, so that I can organize this better instead of just having this stack of papers. What I wanted to show you is the month I'm most excited for. One of the rounds of the medallion quilt are these log cabin blocks that are done in all like background neutral fabrics, and then you applique all around. And I love applique and I don't do that much of it anymore, and so I'm really excited for that. I think it's going to be amazing. So I'm going to later today get this more organized and maybe even sew some more on. I'm doing this with hand piecing. Most of the quilt I will do hand piecing, but like the log cabins, I'll machine piece. That would be simple. The thing with hand piecing, the more I feel like I'm getting better at it very quickly, but I'm not very confident at it. So if I haven't done it for a while, it seems like this insurmountable task. But then like yesterday as I was doing it, I was like, oh, this is easy. Like, why? What was I so worried about? Like, this is super easy. It's just an issue I have. I'm hoping that by the time I'm done with this quilt, maybe even before then, I will have regained some confidence or gained some confidence with the piecing, the hand piecing, so that I don't go through this every time. So these are some of the fabrics that they've sent. Those are Jen Kingwell fabrics. These are, I might also be Jen Kingwell fabrics, but they're like for backgrounds for those log cabins. I recognize that, and I don't know where from. Anyway, they might be Anna Maria Horner. They might be something else. They're beautiful. And each month, the block of the month came, I have a whole bag of templates. So that way it was a template of the month program. Some of them just still have the protective paper on them. You receive the templates and the fabric for that month. But of course, you can supplement from your stash, and you can make your own fabric placement decisions. These are all of the applique template pieces. There's a lot of them in there. Might not be able to tell. That's a lot. And these are like the thinner, I'd have to look. I'm not sure if they're the melamine that's heat resistant or not. But I also, my preferred applique method is needle turn. So I just need to trace around them. I'm really excited to get to the applique part. Big stack of fabric. And this is my month 3 through 6 fabric. My month 1 and 2 fabric is in here. Like I said, I supplemented with some of the fabric that I have dyed. And then I also had this Anna Maria Horner layer cake, which some of these pieces that are more like large scale, I don't think I'll use for this. But I threw this in here too, because I think I'll use some of this. Like this print will go like gangbusters in here. Like some of them are just so stinking perfect. I just think they'll mesh very, very well. So I'm going to make use of that. Okay. Even my other knee is getting stiff. What's next? There's so much. All right, let me show you another little applique project I've been working on. Do I have a good picture of it? This has been hanging around forever. I need to get it done. This is a little heart. I don't know if you can see. You hang it from something. And it's got a little pocket in the back. Anyway, it came with all the linen for it. I'm just embroidering it, and it's really almost done. I just need to finish this. I might even prioritize this before I get to the 2020, the bicycle quaternary quilt, so that I can just get this done and crossed off my list. So that's I've done most of these hearts since the last time I've shown it on one of my channels. I just need to finish, and they go so fast. I just need to finish those hearts. I'm going to do, these little dots are supposed to be done in yellow. I'm going to do French knots, even though I don't think that's what the pattern tells you to do. And I need to finish the basket. And then just sew it together. So that's almost done. Something I pulled out, well, actually, so I did do some shopping. One of the things I forgot to bring over here to show you is a bunch of Aldani that I got. I placed an order with Primitive Gatherings. One of the emails from them pointed out that the price of Aldani was going up. I think it may have already gone up by now because this was several weeks ago. I'm not sure. but the price of Valdani was going up, and I had Valdani on my wish list for things that I needed to get to do another handwork quilt that I'm doing. I have a quilt with wool, little house blocks, and I need to do the blanket stitch around the edges of the wool pieces. And I knew I was going to be needing Valdani for that. So I placed an order for a bunch of Valdani. And I also picked up this, which is like the cutest stinking thing. And it was funny because so it's the kit. I didn't get the Valdani because I do have enough that I was like, especially with what I was ordering, that I was like, I'll just pull from what I have to do the stitching around the edges. So this is, again, it's a small, like, simple thing. Doesn't take too much brain power. So it's been sitting next to my bed. My husband's texting me. Okay. Sorry. This has been sitting here ready. So someday when it just, you know, strikes my fancy, I can get to work on it. But it's so cute. And it's funny because I ordered this and it came. And then like 2 days later, I don't watch a lot of like flosstube or anything anymore. I just don't have time. I'm working a lot now, but I go back sometimes, and Quilt Roadies in particular, I will sometimes just go back and watch some of her episodes. So these weren't really old episodes I was watching. They were relatively recent, but anyway, I guess she recently went and stayed at Primitive Gatherings. I think this is what happened. I don't know. She did recently go stay at Primitive Gatherings. I don't know if it was in that same episode, but she showed me that somebody, or showed us, the viewers, that somebody had recently made this for her and gifted it to her. So I got to, like, she was showing it. I was like, I just bought that. I love it. I don't know why I'm telling you that story, but I was very excited. Made me very happy. Even more excited to work on it. All right. I'm going to show you another purchase real quick. I saw this. I was placing an order with Missouri Star Quilt Company, and this just fell into my cart. Look at how stinking gorgeous that is. First of all, those are Tilda fabrics, and I love Tilda. But this is a pattern for that pouch and for that pincushion, and I love small little, like, I love pincushions. I love little bags and pouches. I feel like I can always make use of them. And this comes with a printed linen. Doesn't come with a floss. But this is also sitting next to my bed, which is where I'm spending a lot of my time these days with my leg up. Comes with the printed linens, and this is sitting here ready for me to get to work on it when the mood strikes. I want to finish that embroidered heart first, but I like having this nearby. How am I doing on time? Those of you who maybe have not seen my floss tubes, I talk a lot. And my videos are not frequent, but they tend to be very long. So I hope you don't mind. You can always come back, you know, watch it in parts if you need to, if you're enjoying yourself. Okay, so I told you guys I was spending a lot of time going through my various books and things. So, and I actually bought some new books. I love Quiltmania books. They are no longer, I think Quiltmania went out of business, or at least they stopped producing their quilt books and magazines. But I love Quiltmania, and I love Yoko Saito, who I might have just butchered her name. I apologize if I have. I've heard it pronounced so many different ways. But this book, Yoko Saito's books are those books that I could just, and I could just look through for hours. At one point I had my kids bring all of my Yoko Saito, and my husband bring up all my Yoko Saito books. And I just spent a few days just like going through all of them. But this one's new to my collection. I don't think I even knew she'd done one with Quiltmania. Quiltmania books are just the highest quality books ever, in my opinion. They're usually in both French and English, which to me just adds to their charm. I don't know how many of their books, how many of the quilts from their books I will ever manage to make in my lifetime. They're usually much more intricate. They're so beautiful. I just can look at them for hours, and daydream about making all of the beautiful things. But like, for example, I'll show you what I'm talking about if you're not familiar. And you can, these are available on the secondary market. Some of them, look at that. Some of them are priced pretty high. I think they were always expensive books, even to buy new, like probably in the $45 to $55 range. That's my guess. Some of them that are more sought after on the secondary market can go for hundreds. I don't buy them in their hundreds. So this, I don't want to show you the part you can't see. Like, this is what I mean by more intricate and detailed. Of course, Yoko Saito is kind of known for her detail as well. And I love bags. She's got bag patterns in here. I'm trying to find one in particular that I want to show you guys. All right. This is the quilt I want to make. I'm going to show it to you upside down because that's going to be easier. This is the quilt. So it's like a grandmother's flower garden. So all of these in the center are 1/2 inch hexies. And then these out here in the border are 7/16 of an inch. So a little bit different. Look at that quilt. I'm not necessarily going to use that. I'm probably not going to use that color palette. I'm thinking more of like a Kim Deal palette. So like deeper tones, like not bright, like deeper tones, but not this dark, if that makes sense. And I'm not saying all Kim Deal fabrics, but that's, if you're familiar with Kim Deal. Actually, I have some Kim Deal around here, don't I? Haha. I have this pulled for a different project, but like this is a Kim Deal palette, right? That's kind of what I'm thinking. For this, look at how good it is. So I was looking through these books, and I mean, I would be happy to make anything and everything in this book. It's just, it's amazing. Like, look at this one. This one's called 3,955 Pieces. It's just incredible. I highly recommend anything from Quilt Mania and or Yoko Saito. So I was looking through this book and couldn't get my mind off of that quilt. And like, how amazing would it be, right, to actually make that? I also have had this Japanese book or magazine for quite some time. This one's all in Japanese. So but if you're a quilter, like if you're a reasonably experienced quilter, you don't need the English for it. You know what I mean? Like, it might be easier if you had it, but you can figure it out. There is a quilt in here that I am in love with also, and have been for quite some time. It's this one. And look at all of those 1/2 inch hexies. So, and there's also been some quilts recently. I'll see if they show a big picture of it. Well, it's on the cover. It's the cover quilt. That's a pretty good picture of it. There have been some quilts recently that I've seen on like YouTube, on like quilt shows, and people post like that they've gone on a quilt show, of some amazing quilts done with really small hexies, like 1/2 inch or even 1/4 inch hexies. And so I've been obsessing over these particular quilts and decided, you know what? I need some 1/2 inch hexies. So all I've done so far is order some big packs. I ordered 2 of them. Some big packs of 1/2 inch hexies, so that when the mood strikes, I'm kind of all set and I can go ahead and get started with those. While I'm talking about shopping, I need to put these away. I placed an order with Duckadilly. So Duckadilly is a company in the US that specializes in Liberty Tonalon. Sorry, while I move around. Tonalon is that it feels very thin to a quilter, but but you can still quilt with it. It's just it's great for blouses and things that you're gonna wear. But it's a very high quality fabric. It's just much thinner than what we're used to as quilters. Anyway, I do a lot of their blocks of the month. By do, I mean I order them and I get them started and they're still not done. But they give you a coupon code if you're participating in a block of the month. The idea is you can buy backing or something for the quilt when it's done, which of course my quilt wasn't done, that I had a block of the month with them last year, but I had a coupon code to use. So at the end of the year sales and with the coupon code, I went ahead and just added to my stash a little bit. My dog's gonna come up here and she's gonna be so mad that there is nowhere for her to sit. Strawberries. I've been keeping these up here so that I'd be able to show you before I put them away. Because I do keep my Liberty, my Tonalons kind of in their own place. Freya, don't you dare bark. If you have headphones, you might want to take them out because I cannot. Nope. Nope. 1 minute. Lay down. Come on. Lay down. You gotta come up here and lay down. Can't help you. Nope. 1 minute. Your dad is downstairs. You could have gone to him. I can't even walk the dog right now because my leg can't handle her pulling. If she pulls on the leash, I'm not sure I can stay standing. So those are my additions. Very exciting. I mean, those are all 1/4 yard cuts. Like, it's not a lot of fabric. But Tonalons are pricey. Okay. You know how I just said I sign up for Duckadilly blocks of the month and then I don't keep up? So this is, oh, I'm going to have to link it below because I don't have the picture with me. This is maybe the first Duckadilly block of the month that I signed up for. And I will get to it. It's basically for a grandmother's flower garden, essentially. Quilt. A queen size quilt that's like a grandmother's flower garden. And it has, excuse me, but mine will have this like denim chambray where you would typically see like white or another like 30s color. So this is what's going to go in between the blocks of flowers. And it's like color wash. Color wash effect on the quilt. So month 1, I had barely started right when it came. I pulled it out again the other day. Finally. They send really good instructions. You like download them from their site, but still very good instructions for each fabric, how much to cut, where. They'll, give you kind of a map of how to organize things. So I had cut out some of the hexies and prepped them ages ago. They also come, this is all done with 1-inch hexies. They send their packs of 1-inch hexies. I had done some and I prepped more. And that's as far as I've gotten so far. But that's okay. I got it out and made more progress on it. This is also something that right up there with that bison quinquagenary quilt, which is just what I'm going to call it from now on. That is, I love this one. This one's so good. This is, now my dog's going to run away again. This is up there on like, I need to be making regular progress on this. I still don't know when it's going to be done. I'm not setting myself a deadline because for me, that's the kiss of death. But like, even if I was picking this up once a week for an hour, then I'm enjoying it and I'm making progress on it. And it's not just sitting there wishing it was getting attention. So this is staying right next to my bed. I got a lot of stuff organized too while I've been recovering. It's just such a mess around me right now. Okay. Another block of the month that I got out and got organized. I don't know that you could say did I do anything on it? Hold on. I'm going to have to look. This is from Alice Caroline. Just need to find the right month to look at. I did do stuff on it. So Alice Caroline is a company based in the UK. Freya, you can come up. I love again, they specialize in Liberty. They are just phenomenal. It's just the products they come up with, just like Duckadilly. The projects using Liberty tunnel lawns are just stunning and beautiful. They run a fantastic block of the month. Their instructions are so well done. So this is for Betsy's Bouquet, is a quilt. So it's another grandmother's flower garden style. It's almost all tunnel lawn. There's also some Tilda, I think, that's in there. I might be wrong, but I don't think I am. This is the vibe of the quilt. This is just, you know, repeating grandmother's flower garden situation. Her packaging for her blocks of the month is beautiful. You get these like square, maybe like 1-inch high boxes every month. If you live overseas, so you do have the option of getting them in fewer packages, so you're not spending as much on shipping. I usually go for the every 3 months option. So they send me 3 months at a time. And like I said, it just cuts down on the shipping costs. I pulled this out. So I got it organized. So they come in these great boxes, like I was saying, but the boxes take up a lot of room. And I hadn't even taken things out of the boxes. So what I did was I got everything out of the boxes. I clipped them together. See, like that's a Tilda. I'm almost positive. I love Tilda. That's a Tilda. Anyway, I clipped them together with that month's instructions, the hexies I need for that month, and the pack of fabric. And I wrote what month they were on everything in case they become separated. I could figure it out later, but I don't want to have to. I also have some, they had like a special Aurifil thread pack for these, and so I purchased that. So those are in here. This is just month 1, but I got started. Look at that. I started prepping hexies. I didn't get very far. Sorry for the crinkle. I'm just a little scattered. I started prepping hexies. I'm very excited about that. Again, because at least now I'm working on it. At least now I'm enjoying it. No idea when it's going to be done. I have no specific goals or timeline or expectation that I'm putting on myself, but it's gotten started. So again, I have some of my baggies that I can keep things in when I need to. My intention though is to like faithfully be doing 1 month at a time. I have everything separated into these little bundles by month, like this. And this is the only one that's kind of pulled apart right now, is month 1. The one thing I will say, I noticed cutting these, even though I'm barely in, she only sends you exactly what you need fabric-wise, which doesn't worry me in part because I've got a little bit of a stash that if I need to like supplement what she sent, but and like switch out a fabric or something, but she really only sends you exactly what you need. And she sends you like a diagram of where to put each of the hexies on the fabric to make them fit. But when you're dealing with a relatively large piece of fabric, if your spacing's off a little bit, you kind of don't know it till the end. So you have to glue all the hexies down first, and then if they're not fitting, re-glue them all. The way I do it is I glue the hexies down on the fabric, and then I cut around the hexie. I also tend to like a little bit of a wider, more of a 3/8 inch seam allowance than a 1/4 inch seam allowance for EPP. So that's just something to be aware of. You do have, which she will say, you do have enough fabric to do it, but you do need to be conscientious about how you're cutting. At some point around month 7 or something, we did get an extra fat quarter of the Betsy print. That's like the latticing in between each of the flowers, because people were complaining that they were running short, apparently, or commenting that they were running short. So that's in here. So now instead of taking up all that space in boxes, I've got it all in one project bag or project tote, which also makes it much easier for me to pick up and return to without much trouble or fuss. I'm just gonna keep talking. I'm almost done. So a few other things, just looking ahead to when I do feel up to rotary cutting. I have this quilt that's been on my to-do list for a while. I think my oldest would really like it. So this is Garden Gatherings from Primitive Gatherings. I'm not going to say it's the highest quality like book, but I do love the spiral binding. This really simple. I do love, as much as I love the really complex quilts, I also really love simple quilts. So this is what I'm using these Kim Deals for. This was actually a bundle, I think, from Fat Quarter Shop. I don't remember what this line was, but it's the same print in a bunch of colors. And I think my son will enjoy that. And he's the sort of person, he's lovely and wonderful, and the sort of person who, if I do it and he's like, yeah, I don't really like it, he'll just tell me. And I will give it to somebody else or keep it for myself. Another recent purchase, this just came out, was Gathered from Jen Kingwell. I was very excited waiting for this. This is, her first book was Quilt Recipes, I think. Like, it's kind of like a series, and there's actual recipes in here. And I haven't tried one yet, because I love collecting cookbooks and rarely ever manage to actually make things, but there's a lot in here actually I'd like to make. Anyway, I'd be happy to make everything in here. Right now I have 2 of them that I'm kind of prepping and planning. The first one is Hazel, and I ordered the templates. You can, for a lot of her quilts, you can get the template pack. I actually got splurged at Christmas time, and I got the full template pack for this book. So it comes with the templates to make all of the quilts, but inside that box, they're each in their own kind of envelope and pack. So I'm going to make this, but instead of those warm colors, the pinks and reds and oranges and yellows, I'm going to use, what did we decide this was called? Farmer's Daughter from Lori Holtz. And this is my preferred color palette. I'm going to use the blues, aquas, and greens. And I don't have it up here with me, but I have another bolt of one of the backgrounds from this collection that's like blue flowers. So it's like a low volume background. I'm going to use, it's the cover quilt. I'm going to use that as the background, the white, and these as the pieces, the colored pieces. I'm very excited for that. That's just like in queue to get cut. And the other thing I have in queue from here to start next is Lillimer, if I'm saying that right. This. I love it. I love its simplicity. I love that it's applique. It'll be easy to take places with me. Can also like just turn this into a, I'm going to show this picture upside down again. Just to show the detail on that applique. You can, there's instructions to just make it into a pillow. So, but I'm going to do the colors very different. So, Riley Blake makes a linen. So there was an older linen that's still somewhat available that I love. But they are replacing that with a new linen they're calling Fairfax linen. So I'm going to use this quilt to work on their Fairfax linen and see how I like it. Now, it is a little bit, I'll see what happens when I wash it. If you've been here before, you've seen me use their linens in the past, and I love them. This feels a little bit stiffer or coarser, but linen also gets a lot softer with handling and with washing. So I don't expect that to stay. I think it might also be a little bit thicker. It's not like it's going to mesh great with quilting cotton. There's no concern there. But I think it's got a little more a little more body to it. I have done the cutting. So these are the fabrics for the blocks themselves. And so the pattern does not have you cut the backgrounds. Like I'm used to doing applique where you cut the backgrounds wider and so that you can trim them down afterwards, because appliquing might, it does like shrink, pull in your fabrics a little bit. She doesn't have that in the instructions. So read the instructions. Always, you should read the instructions. I often don't myself, but as I don't believe her instructions included that at all, because I think it said to cut it the same size as the finished block will be. Unless I'm mistaken, but that was my understanding. I did cut my blocks a little bit bigger so I can trim them down. And then I'm going to use this Liberty. This is a quilting cotton. I'm going to use this as my applique. I've got a whole bunch of this. I have more if I need it, but I don't think I will. I'm very excited about this. It's going to be just very simple, very soft. I suspect my daughter might claim it when it's done, but you only have to applique 4 blocks. And they're like simple pieces, just some circles. It's one of those quilts that's very simple, but I think is going to have huge visual impact. And I'm excited. Sometimes I just get excited by choosing a different color palette than the designer and being able to see how much that changes what it looks like. Okay, that's what I've been doing. I think I managed to talk about all of the things that I remembered to actually bring here to show you. There were other things I was going to show you or intended to, but given that I've been talking for more than an hour and a half, that was probably enough. But if you're anything like me, you love a long video. I love a long video. They make me very happy because I can put them on like in the background. I even will put on, I love quilting content like this. I love the like flosstube style of quilting content, where it's just like a vlog. It's just like this is what I'm doing and this is what I'm sharing and showing. If I remember, I will link some of the quilting content creators that I've been enjoying in the description box below too, that have that sort of style that is just like conversational and like, here's what I'm working on. That's what I find most inspiring and enjoy the most, as opposed to like tutorials and whatnot. I don't even know where I was going with that. Oh, I'll put on a video in my earbuds while I'm using the sewing machine, which I do hope to get back to using the sewing machine more soon. It actually is too much on my leg right now. I can do it for maybe 5 or 10 minutes and then my leg is super, super tired. I'll get there, just not there yet. Anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying your creative lives, whatever crafting you are enjoying, or if, like me, over these last weeks, you're just spending a lot of time looking at eye candy, that's good too. I hope you're enjoying yourself. I hope you're having a good winter if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, summer otherwise, and hopefully I'll see you back here soon. Bye.